it really got to me. And the only thing that helped me was to prove them wrong. Like in my mind, I was like, I know I have something. Like I believe in myself. I really believe that I'm creating value, that my voice needs to be heard and people want to hear it. I know I'm doing something right, but what really added fuel to that fire was that I'm going to prove everyone wrong.
What would the world look like if people felt like they mattered? Welcome to the Lead with Love podcast, exploring what it means to lead with love in business and life. I'm your host, Giada Selner, and in this show, I'll share meaningful conversations to help you, the creative, the entrepreneur, the world changer, reach more people, go after your dreams, and serve your community with love. I appreciate you joining me. Now let's get cozy and start today's episode. What if you believed in yourself more than anyone else? In today's Lead with Love podcast, we talk about building with intention and not letting the critics, which are sometimes the people you love the most, stop you from going after your dreams. Sometimes the people around you are going to doubt, second guess, and try to protect you from failing. But what they're really doing is stopping you from reaching your full potential. So you gotta bet on yourself. And today I get cozy with my friend My Nguyen, founder of My Healthy Dish. You can find her recipes with a healthy twist on the food you love over on her Instagram account at myhealthydish_. And her account has over 800,000 followers. So we will definitely cover some Instagram tips and strategies. Now, Mai actually was the person who encouraged me to start an Instagram account in 2012 for Simple Green Smoothies. And if it wasn't for her nudge and encouragement, my life would look a lot different today. And I encouraged her to launch an ebook for the first time, and she goes into that story on how that really became the first income that she was able to generate online, which is just amazing. Now, Mai started posting Instagram photos of simple and nutritious meals she made for her twin daughters, and she sparked so much interest on Instagram by sharing her recipes and her healthy lifestyle. So she turned it into her life's work to educate others about what they put on their plate, and all of her recipes are made for her own family. And she's a busy mom, so she always finds ways to take shortcuts in the kitchen without taking shortcuts on flavor. And I can attest that her food is really, really flavorful and super simple and delicious. So let's get cozy with Mai. Hi, Mai.
Hi, Giada.
I love that this is like our catch-up conversation.
It's like, I haven't talked to this girl in months because she's so busy, and the only way I could get a communication with you is through a podcast.
Well, I'm always down for a hot tub invite at your house. So anytime.
Oh, God. It's like actually perfect today because it's cold and raining, and that's when we love hot tubs.
Yes. Everyone knows that. I'm so obsessed with hot tubs, and you have a beautiful one at your house, and then a great pool that I never go in because I'm all about the warm water. So I think it'll be helpful for people to know how we are connected, how we know each other. And we've actually known each other for many years because our husbands, my husband George, your husband Harlan, have been best friends since high school. Is that? Yep. They were in plays and musical chorus line together. Yeah. And George was actually Harlan's best man at his wedding. So do you even remember when we first had our first double date or meeting each other? Do you remember?
Oh, I remember it clearly. It was, I think we went to, Oakland or Berkeley, and we were playing pool. And then we had an instant connection because we were talking about Justin Timberlake and how you met him. And I'm just like, super jealous. That just goes to show how young we were.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I love that. And I remember that I remember that time at the pool table because George's like ex-girlfriend was there and he didn't tell me until later.
Right.
And I was like, you know, you just act a little different when you know there's like someone. I was so mad that he didn't tell me that. But yeah, and I actually recorded.
You carried yourself really well, to be honest. So yeah, and it felt like I had made like an instant friend that night, and I love that like you were George's wife, and now we could I finally had a couple to hang out with.
Yeah, and they did a good job because we were both like, several years younger than them, so
you took the crown.
They're lucky to have us.
Well, you took the crown away from me because everyone was so on Harlan for marrying someone so young, which I was only 5.5 years younger. But at that time, it was a bigger deal because he was in his 20s, Yeah. But then you took the crown from me and you were like, what, you guys are like 7 or 8 years apart?
Yeah, we're almost 8 years apart. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, not me anymore. It's George who's the cradle robber.
Yeah. I love that so much. So yeah, we have a lot of background in, we both were at each other's weddings. We've both had kids. Our girls play together. You have twin daughters and I have, Zoe, a couple years older than the girls. And we've also started businesses and the same
time.
So I'm really excited to have this conversation because it's like we really witnessed each other behind the scenes when it was that early grind of what am I doing with my life? How do I make money and still have my kids by my side, and navigating having husbands as well. It's just a different way of building a career when you have so many people to tend to and be responsible for. And sometimes they can get in the way of us trying to go after our dreams. So I'm excited to have this conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I felt so alone at certain times because when you're starting off a new business, you don't know where it's going. Of course, you look back now, I'm like, wow, look where we are. But back then we were both insecure, both poor and not realizing our future potential. And it was just nice to have someone who was going through the same thing and encouraging each other when we're I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe this is not going to work. And it was just nice just sitting at that coffee table writing our ebook saying, no, this is going to work.
Totally.
It's going to work for us.
Yeah. So, and we'll dive into that in a little bit. But, one of my favorite questions to ask is, what does leading with love mean to you? And how do you put love into practice in your business?
That's a good question, Giada. I do it two ways. You got to think about yourself and your family first. And then you got to think about your intention to help others as an influencer, when we didn't even know what the word influencer was when we started. But I kind of own it now when I was kind of embarrassed before, what? An influencer? That sounds kind of entitled. But so first, my family, I'm doing this all for me and my family. I want a better life for them. Everything that I work hard, I sacrifice sleep sometimes and outings with friends because I want to work on something because I know it's going to grow my business and it's only going to benefit us. But secondly, with being the influencer, I also have to think about my followers and my intention for them and not seeing them as just money in my pocket or this, people call them your gold mine or whatever. I don't see it that way. I mean, I see it as a support system that I'm giving them something of value and they support me by supporting my business. And so it's almost like we're taking care of each other, and I actually appreciate and love them for being there for me. And I want to be there for them too. So all the content I create, I have that in them in mind as well.
I love that approach of how can I add something of value to them? Because I think it changes the intention, and also that you can still want to have a healthy, profitable business. When we were getting into it, we weren't trying to just have a hobby. We were really trying to figure out how do we make money online and throwing spaghetti at the wall to figure that out in the process.
Yep,
So I
that
think
was it there. Yeah.
yeah, because some people are just kind of like just getting into it for whatever. But I think that we came in with an intention that we wanted to support and financially take care of our family. So I love that you look at it as like a two-way street of like, I'm going to take care of you. And in that, you'll be able to take care of me and my family too.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I appreciate it. And I appreciate the support. Like every time I get a comment, a like, all those things, that engagement back from my followers, I appreciate it because they're taking their time to tell me that they like something I did. So I like that feedback too.
So how do you actually appreciate it when you receive it?
So with the Instagram algorithm, and I know a lot of people complain about it, but I'm starting to embrace it more because I just realized that the new algorithm, and it changes all the time, but it makes you a better influencer because it makes you engage with your followers. And, emoji is just not going to cut it. DMs, you can't just send a heart or a like. Those are like, people are going to see that and just disregard you. So I create conversations because they're going out of their way to ask a question about smoothies, right? Or diets or weight or a recipe. Give them a real answer instead of thanks, because not only does that give them the value that they're looking for, but it also builds up your algorithm because the more people are that engaged, the more Instagram will show your followers your content. So it comes hand in hand to me.
Yeah. And I think that that's a great way of looking at the I always say it wrong. Algorithm. Because we look at it as like, it's against us. And it's like, no, it's like for the people. It's going to show more of what people find valuable and engaging and helpful. And they want to show more of what they're appreciating. And so you are appreciating them for taking the time. And I talk about this like no comment left behind. And I think that you do that
I love
really well when it's like you grew your Instagram account to, over 1 million followers. And that is to me that you still appreciate your community in that way is pretty amazing.
Yeah. I have this rhythm. In the morning, I spend 30 minutes through my DMs and I respond to everyone as much as I can because I don't want it to snowball on me. But then I also, in my first Instagram post, I call it the power hour, where I spend a whole hour responding to comments that first hour. And that also builds your engagement up too. But I really do it with intention because I know those people, the first hour, those people, they're like your diehard followers. Those are the people who are waiting for your content. The people who DM you are waiting for your response. So I give them that extra special attention.
Do you ever, something that I do is in the DMs, I'll do a video or an audio message. Do you do that? Or are you more of a typer and just like give them some words?
I've done video when it's just more personal, like when I share something about my anxiety or stress and how I use CBD to manage it. There's a lot of people who are pouring their hearts out of their experiences too. So I want them to know that I'm there for them too. And I'll send them like a special message instead of just like typing up something. And I'm hoping that I'm making them feel better about what they're going through by hearing my voice.
Yeah. And I would love to just rewind a little bit because obviously, where you are with your following now, but like, let's go back to little My.
Little My.
And I'm curious, like, what's been your relationship with food growing up? Because you have your Instagram account is My Healthy Dish and you talk about nutrition as a way of life and diets are temporary and just about making healthy, very flavorful, because I have actually eaten a lot of your food and it is so good, but it's also so simple. Your food is really, really good. And it's like made for the whole family to enjoy. Yeah. But let's go back to like little My and like what your relationship with food was growing up.
So everyone knows that I grew up, I would just say poor. Like we're refugees from Vietnam and we lived in the States, and, we're on government assistance and all that stuff. So dining out was never an option for us. Going out to a restaurant, sitting down was just not an option for us. So we ate most of our meals at home, which luckily was probably the healthiest for us, obviously. So I just learned that eating at home was the best option for me. And I learned how to cook that way through what my parents did for us. But that all changed when I went to college, and no one was cooking for me. I had to fend for myself. So I turned to fast food and going out to eat. And I put on the freshman, people say the freshman 15. I would say the freshman 25 for me, because I was just Jack in the Box at 1:00 in the morning and not really, working out. So I put on the weight pretty quickly, and I didn't know how to lose it because I've never had to struggle with my weight. So I started going on crash diet, those slim fast drinks. And I saw the commercial for Subway sandwiches with Jared. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to eat Subway sandwiches. I mean, I fell for every marketing weight loss thing out there. And it just really did a number on my body, because I will lose the weight and then I would gain it back just as quickly and then some. So getting really frustrated, and I decided to start cooking for myself, but I couldn't really make all the food that my parents made. So I started watching Rachel Ray 30-minute meals. And I just started learning the basics of cooking. And I liked it because it was quick and 30 minutes. And I just started losing the weight because I was just eating at home. But that really piqued my interest into nutrition, how food played a role in how I lost the weight. So I started taking nutrition classes, and I started reading more on nutrition and how food affected our body. And I'm just constantly learning anything about nutrition, any new diet that's coming out. I read about it because I want to know how it works, and it really fascinates me. So it came hand in hand. I started getting really interested in cooking, but then I also get really interested in nutrition. And then I combined the two to learn how to benefit my body, but also lose weight. And then I showed it to everyone else.
That's awesome. Was there a meal that your parents made for you that you that's your go-to, just takes me right back?
Well, you've had it. It's we always eat pho. Noodle soup, Vietnamese noodle soup is pho. And we constantly eat it at least once a week. I know how to make it. I make it healthier than my parents. I swap out the noodles with zoodles, which is a low carb option. But there's also low carb noodles you can use. But I mean, any recipe that my parents made that I love, I could definitely make it healthier. Of any recipe that we have, any food, any item that we make, we could definitely make it healthier by doing a swap.
And what do your parents think of, they have kind of the authentic Vietnamese, they also had a restaurant. Do they judge or your recipes or meals, or have they tried them?
Yes. Yes. They judge everything I do because they just don't understand it. They're very old school. They don't even understand my job and how I make money off the internet. So they get kind of not judgmental, but they laugh when I make something because it's not as good as, the diehard Vietnamese dish or anything, because I'm cutting out sodium, I'm cutting out fat, I'm cutting out this, but it's still it's a healthier version. It's never going to be as good as the original, but it's still good and it does the job. That's what I think.
Yeah. And how do you describe what you do? What your job is to your parents?
So how do I describe it to them?
Yeah.
Is that in simple terms, I was Mom, Dad, I created all these healthy recipes that people love. And they started following me because they want to lose weight and eat healthy and make healthy food choices for their family. And now I have a large group of people who are following me. And they make me money by sponsored posts. I'll work on a product that, they see the UPS guy come every day. So they understand all these products are coming to me. And I explain to them, people are paying me to make recipes or create content out of these products that I like too, but they're healthy. And then I show it to my audience. And it's like advertising. That's the simplest thing I can say. It's like advertising.
That's perfect. But they still don't get it, right? They're we still don't get it.
They don't understand. They don't understand it, and that's fine. But they're living in the house that I bought with my money, and they're swimming in the pool that I have. So they know that I'm doing well for myself.
Yeah. So let's rewind to basically you and I mean, was that like 2011 is when I got into creating a parenting blog. And I feel like 2012, can you take me before you actually started the Instagram account? What did your life, your situation, what did it look like?
Yeah. So before Instagram, before kids, I was in mortgage. Subprime mortgage was, you know what happened there? The bubble popped and I lost my job. My husband was also in mortgage and he lost his job. And then we lost our home. And then I got pregnant with the twins. And then I moved in with my parents. So there we are, like starting all over again, feeling really lost. I felt lost because here I am, some 30-year-old woman with 2 kids, no job, no money, with a college education. And I felt like, what am I doing with myself? You know, and not to say that being a stay-at-home mom is not a lot of work. And everyone should be very appreciative of stay-at-home moms because it was like the hardest job of my life. But I also went to school because I wanted a career. I wanted to be this career woman. I wanted to have like that life for me and my family. And I didn't know how to do it with 2 kids and I couldn't put them in daycare because if I put them in daycare and go back to work, I would just be working just to put them in daycare. So that just didn't add up to me. So we had like a garage sale when the girls were, I think, 3. And I made enough money for my husband and I to buy iPhones. I had a Razor. We were so bad. We had Razor flip phones. But we had iPhones and everyone was like, download Instagram. It's like it was a new social media app. And so I downloaded it and instantly I just saw it for what it was. People were posting pictures of their family and random stuff that they were doing. But I really saw the potential of what Instagram was. And I attacked it like it was my full-time job. I started posting the recipes that I made for my family. I started it was just with intent. From day one, I knew there was something there. So I remember going to a barbecue and one of my friends was like, oh my gosh, Ma, you have like 500 followers on Instagram. That's insane. I was like, oh, okay. And at that time, that was a lot. Because we were all just starting off. Instagram was so new. And it's so new. It was just bought by Facebook when I started, like a month later. So that was how new it was.
Was that 2012 when that was happening? Or did you start a little bit earlier? I remember
with a year. Yeah. Maybe it was 2012. But I think around the same time, it was bought by Facebook when I started. So I just started working every day. I spent like 8 hours a day, sacrificing sleep, again, sacrificing time with my friends, just knowing that if I create this content, it's like the field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. Like I knew if I just kept on creating this content, that it was going to resonate with people just like me out there who were struggling with losing weight, didn't know how, and didn't understand like what food could do for their bodies. And I was helping those people that was like the 20-year-old me in college who still felt that way. And so I was creating that content with that intent, knowing that there's so many people out there who are doing it wrong. Yeah.
What did you think was possible? Was there someone so did you think that this is some place that I could possibly make money? Like what did you think was actually the potential on the account?
I didn't know the potential. I just knew that there was something there that I couldn't ignore. But I knew that if I grew an audience, that I could sell an ebook. I don't know if the ebook came to mind right away, but I just knew I needed that audience to take me to that next step. I think you planted the seed for the ebook in my mind, later on.
Ebook, yeah. But in the beginning, I was just like, did you see other Instagram followers where you're like, they must be making money? Or I'm just curious, like what the potential or the possibility looked like to you.
No one was making money on Instagram. And the ones who were, and I think you remember, it was Chrissy May, she was charging boot camp, like going to her classes, like hey, come meet up in San Francisco, which one we actually went to, and paid what, $15 to go to a boot camp. Those were the people who were making money, or fitness instructors charging for like classes. And I was like, wow, you could be doing so much more. But yeah, so we weren't really making money. No one was really making money. So I think I was one of the first people who started making like money on Instagram. But the ebook was what? When I hit 100,000 followers, I released my ebook. And I remember the night before, my dad coming to me, and again, I mean, I didn't have a lot of support. And you remember this, I didn't have a lot of support from my family or my husband or my friends, because no one understood what I was doing, even if I explained it. So the night before my ebook release, my father comes to me and he tells me, maybe you should go into real estate, and I've been working on this for a whole year, building this audience, building to 100,000, writing this ebook at the same time, sleepless nights with me and you at a coffee shop, where everyone's having fun, staying up late, writing this ebook. And I was just like second guessing myself as soon as my father said that. And I was like, no, this is going to work. This is going to work. So the morning of the ebook release, the sales started coming in, and I was just kind of flabbergasted. Like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, I'm actually making money on something. I couldn't, and I charged $39 for the book, which wasn't even an intangible book, and people were paying for it. And I made a good chunk of money. But then after I talked to you, you're like, oh, you need to change it up. Have a website, have a buy. I didn't know like all those things. I was just learning as I was going. But when I was just making those changes, the money started rolling in quite often and really fast, where it was able to support me and my husband. He quit his job, and then we eventually moved out. And yeah, it just like, it supported me for a long time until I could figure out my next step. And then my next step was actually, it fell on my lap because I was contacted by a marketing agency who wanted to manage me. And I wasn't sure. I'm like an agent, like a manager? Like I'm on social media. Aren't that for actors and stuff? So you could see like the direction of influencer marketing was going to, was like now we were put up at a status as celebrities and actors and all these people too, because we were, unbeknownst to me, influencing people too. So it took me a while to actually sign this contract because I wasn't sure if I really wanted someone to manage me, but I eventually did. And the first contract, one of the first contracts, and I want you guys to remember, I want you to remember this. I was living with my mom and dad and still writing the ebook. And one of my first contracts was $20,000. And I was just shocked that that was the kind of money that was being thrown around to influencers. The word influencer wasn't even out then. But I was one of the first people on Instagram to do sponsored posts. And the reason why I know that is because I got so much hate when I did it. People were not accepting of the sponsored post, where now you see it every day and it's kind of like, oh, whatever.
Hashtag ad.
I was one of the, yeah. And you see it and you kind of scroll through it and you're okay with it. But before, every time I did a sponsored post, people would call me a hypocrite, a sellout, all those names. And it really took a toll on me too. Like, I didn't know how to handle it. But on the flip side, I don't think they realize that I create all this content for free for them. And this is like the reward, So eventually, after more and more people do it and started doing more sponsored posts, it was more accepting. But like, again, I was like one of the first.
Yeah. So let's go back, because there's so much good stuff here. Let's go back to, before the ebook came out, and like, what was your husband saying as you were kind of writing this book? I know you talked about your parents were saying, go back to real estate, but what was happening, just between you and your husband and having twin daughters at home, and like what was happening behind the scenes at home while you were trying to build this thing that wasn't making any money yet? And it sounds like, you were like a year in, spending lots of hours on your phone. What was the conversation like behind the scenes?
It was a lot of tears. I just didn't understand why he couldn't be supportive of this like dream that I had. But then for people who know my husband, he needs proof. Like, he is not the kind of person who just does something because he believes it, or he really needs tangible proof. Like, I can't just say I'm going to make $1 million because of this. He really needs to see someone else do it first to believe, yes, this can happen. But the problem was I had to be the person who had to do it first. So it caused like a rift between us, because the time that I would spend, creating content and being on social and developing that engagement, I was sacrificing time with him or with the girls, or things that I should have been, as a mom, twin girls are very demanding. So when I would ask him, hey, can you, give the girls a bath, or can you feed them dinner? Because I really want to do this right now because I'm choosing this photo, I'm editing this. And I would always get unsupportive, huff or rolled eyes, or, he's very passive aggressive. Like, he won't say something mean to my face, but he's just very passive aggressive, which is worse for me, because like, he said, I didn't say anything. I'm like, yeah, but I could see it in your face. I could see it in the eye roll. I could feel it. Yeah. So it did cause a lot of tension between us when there's like not that support system around, and you already feel insecure. You already feel like you're kind of out on a limb here, and you're already afraid. Like all those things that an entrepreneur feels in the beginning. And, I felt, but I had no one to really like hold my hand and give me that support or encouragement. So it was a tough time for me, but like we pulled through because I finally showed him proof. It's just that he needed that proof. So like once the ebook sales started coming in, it was like a 180. It was a different person who like, okay, I see what you're doing. I understand it now. And he's been very supportive now. He's actually like helped me with my videos right now. We're actually a team. I mean, I don't want to badmouth him because we actually really work well together, even though we're arguing all the time when we're editing, because I have my own views. But like, I think people have to realize that relationships aren't like, where we are now is great because we found a system that works. But like that system was like really rocky to get to, because like he didn't like this, I didn't like this, and then we finally eventually met somewhere in the middle where we have a great working relationship and, a great relationship at home. But it does take time. It does take time and patience. And yes, and there was times where, I wanted to leave and he wanted to leave, and, but if you can just get past that big hump, which we did.
It's a huge hump.
Our relationship is like,
yeah,
it's a huge hump. You were there for it. You were there.
Yeah. I mean, even George and I experienced that when we were in Kauai. We had our first business that we started together, Little Sprouts Playhouse. And yeah, it was like, I don't know if I want to be with you. I don't know if I want to be with you either. Like, we have those moments in our marriages when we're trying to figure out money, how to make a living, how to support our children. So I totally get that. And I remember, because I saw what you were building and I saw that you were validating the idea. Like, people want what she has to share. And I was like, Harlan, just let her buy that laptop. Like, I remember like an Apple computer. I was like, she just needs to write that ebook, just watch the kids. Like, I was just like such a huge advocate because I saw what you were building was really, really resonating with people, and that you had an opportunity to like turn things around, and you were doing something that you were so passionate about and that you loved. But it is hard during that season when there is no proof. So was there anything that you had to do for yourself to get through that year of no proof, when you have kind of like the naysayers and the critics saying like, don't spend your time on this, don't do that? Like, how did you actually get through that until you could actually prove something?
At first, I'm a very sensitive person. And I think a lot of people are when it comes to comments, when it comes to people judging you, being on Instagram. I think it has created a really hard shell for me that I've gotten better. But at that time, it really got to me. And the only thing that helped me was to prove them wrong. Like, in my mind, I was like, I know I have something. Like, I believe in myself. Like, I really believe that I'm creating value, that my voice needs to be heard and people want to hear it. I know I'm doing something right, but what really added fuel to that fire was that I'm going to prove everyone wrong. I'm just going to prove my husband wrong. I'm going to prove my parents wrong. I'm going to prove my friends wrong. And you know what? With every milestone, even like as I grew my audience to 10,000, I felt validated. I was like, I told you so. And I hit 20,000. I told you so. People are coming, like companies that I would want an intern for were asking me to come work for them and help them and give them advice. And it felt so good to be validated in those ways. But so every milestone I celebrated, everything. So when the ebook came and it made my first $39, I was like jumping up and down because I'm like, I made some money. I mean, $39 wasn't enough, a lot, but like just to show that like, look, I put a product out there and someone bought it because they believe in me. They understand that I'm this authority in the health space, that like I wrote a weight loss book, and if they buy it, they're going to lose weight because I showed them proof that I could do it, that here's all this stuff that I showed you, and now it's all in one book. So just believing in myself and getting that validation, but also just, gosh, it just feels so good to prove everyone wrong, you know?
Yeah.
So I still do that. Like every time they see me traveling, or I feel good. Like, yeah, I'll post it on the internet that I'm in Hawaii or I'm in Disney World or I'm working with Disney because I paid my dues and here I am. You guys didn't believe me and here I am.
That's powerful. Just being able to believe in yourself and to create these milestones where you're celebrating yourself along the way. Because I think a lot of people get stuck. Well, like I don't have the support from my person. And so I guess I can't do this thing. And you did it anyways and like built that resiliency of like to keep like, I'm going to show you, I believe in myself, even if you don't believe in me. That takes a lot of resilience to like move through that when people are not on your side yet. And with that ebook, how much did you make in that like first month of selling the ebook?
Well, the first day it was $8,000, which was like, wow, like, so much money when you're like living with your parents, you know. But like every day it was just like ping, 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 ping. The first year, I think I made over 6 figures on the book, which was great. But like within like with the 2 years that was released, it came close to almost 400K.
That's amazing.
Which was amazing. I mean, it paid for so much. You know, we left my parents' house, down payment, we moved to Walnut Creek to be neighbors with you for a bit. And then I bought my first house, and then I bought a bigger house, you know, so I mean, it paved the way for a lot.
Yeah. And I think to go from the economy crashing, losing your jobs in 2008 to living with your in-laws and rebuilding from nothing, from scratch, and using your time and your energy and your gifts to create something that is of value to other people, and that you got to feel the reciprocation of that value that you had poured in, because many times we're putting so much time and energy into our work before we see any money at all. And a lot of people don't have the patience to work really hard and not see any financial reward right away. Right.
And if you jump into it, I feel like a lot of people now, because they kind of see everyone on the social media making so much money, that if they want to jump into it and do it and make money right away and they give up. I always say this, you can't jump into something hoping to make money. You got to jump into it that you're passionate about first. And just see where it goes, not with the intention to make money. Like I told you before, my intention was to create this content, and that ebook was when you planted that in my head. But I just knew there was something there. But it wasn't intention of, hey, I'm going to make all this money off Instagram. It was my passion. It was food and nutrition.
Yeah. And can you tell me about a failure that you had, or a mistake that you made, or maybe a rejection that you received during this time of building a business that has, you know, been able to...
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Where do I start? I mean, there's so much rejection in this business. I mean, so much rejection, so much failures, because it's the whole spaghetti to the wall theory, right, Giada? We throw it to the wall. Some of it sticks. Most of it falls off. And a lot of my ideas didn't stick, you know, and a lot of my plans didn't stick. You know, like going back to the ebook, like, what was I thinking not putting a description in my ebook? I was like, here's the cover page, go buy my book. And that was it. And I still, I made $8,000 that first day. And I called you. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And then you told me, I'm like, well, I don't even know anything about your book. I'm like, that makes sense. That title doesn't tell you everything. So I changed it. I did a description that was better. I showed proof. I had testimonials, and the testimonials worked, everything that I didn't think to do, I did. And it just like tripled, quadrupled my sales. So those are the little things, but like I try to take my chance at writing a real book. And that was when I really had a hard lesson. I signed with a book agent quickly because I was just so thirsty for it. And I don't think that I thought it through being selective with who you work with, because I was just so excited to get my book out there. And so when she didn't really prepare me, when we met with Crown Publishing, we met with Random House, we met with everyone in New York, all these amazing publishers in New York. And I treated it like an interview. So I treated it like I was interviewing for a job. So I was very professional. I dressed very professional. I wasn't myself. That's what it comes down to. I was just answering questions, and instead of treating it like a audition, which that's what it really comes down to. And I didn't learn this till later when I was getting a lot of no's, was that, my personality is just not there. We can't see her on media. We can't see her on TV promoting this book. And, we can't, how are we going to market her if she's not presentable? And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm the most bubbly person. I mean, I love talking and I love being in front of the camera. I film a lot of video content, but if you look back on it, I was really quiet. I was just like being professional, and that lost me a few big book deals right there because I wasn't prepared and they didn't prepare me. But I'm going to take some ownership on that like I jumped the gun and I maybe made a decision on an agent that didn't prepare me to. So those are some of the mistakes. But being said no so many times, wow, it really, really like took a toll on me. And I started questioning my value, and maybe that like I wasn't as good as I thought, or maybe I don't deserve this book deal or something. But eventually I went with a smaller publisher, and I'm really happy with it because my book is out and I'm really happy with my book.
Yeah, I have it in my kitchen, my bookshelf, my healthy dish, and it has more than 85 recipes for the whole family. And you even shot your own photos, right?
I shot all my own recipes because I'm a control freak.
And would you consider writing going the traditional published route again?
I'm never going to say no. I'm never going to say no to something. It's in my mind. But I don't know if it will be another cookbook. I feel like there's just something else inside me that I want to share with the world. And I already share recipes now, but I don't know what it is yet. I'm not ready. So, but I wouldn't say no to it.
Well, you can always bounce ideas off with me because I love ideation and brainstorming.
That's what I usually go to when I need something. I'm working or struggling with something. I usually call you.
And you made an intentional pivot on your Instagram account, and from kind of sharing recipes to sharing more of you and being more authentic online. I don't know how you would I would love to just get into what inspired you to make this transition of showing more of yourself.
In the beginning, I want to go back to the beginning, because in the beginning I shared a lot of myself. I shared my weight loss struggles. I showed before and after pictures, and showed a lot of my life. But I was constantly being criticized because, again, I was still a mom at home with kids trying to create this business. I was a normal person, but I was getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments every day, and most of them were positive. But of course, the kind of person I am, I focused on the negative, and it got to me. So slowly but surely, I started posting less of myself and just more of food. And what was funny was what was starting to happen was my engagement started dropping. My likes started dropping. People stopped commenting so much because now I was not a person on the page. I was just a food page. And you couldn't tell my page from someone else's who was just another food page. But I didn't know how to get out of it. Like I didn't want to show myself. I didn't want to share myself anymore because it was just affecting me so much. And then I started gaining weight because of depression and anxiety because I felt so like a fraud. Like, I don't think people understand the mental game that comes with social media, that it does affect us all in a certain way, and some better than others. And it just affects me really badly where I kind of shut down. So I kind of stepped away from social media, and I just started regurgitating content. And you can see there was a disconnect there for like over a year where you couldn't even see me. It was just food. And then I think, a year and a half ago, I just decided that it was enough. Like, I need to change this bit and then go back to who I was in the beginning, who was sharing my weight loss struggles, sharing what I learned, and sharing who I am, and then also sharing the food that I ate. So I made that pivot about a year and a half ago, and slowly but surely my engagement has slowly gone up, my likes and everything. I mean, I don't look at likes and engagement as validation, but that was just proof that what my followers really wanted was me and not just food. So I'm just kind of going towards that direction again, but I'm more focused on diet and health. And I think I just fell back to being a food blogger because I thought that was what everyone wanted. So don't create content because you think what people want. Create content what you want, and then you can push it out. I think I made that mistake. And we all make those mistakes, I think, of trying to figure out social media and all this. But what I learned is that if you're authentic to who you are and the content that you're passionate about, it will resonate with the people who started following you for that reason in the first place.
I think it's so fascinating that, you were being more of yourself in the beginning, and then it was the criticism and the feedback that kind of had you like, okay, I'm going to hide, I'm going to step away. And then really being able to come back to that place of, I'm going to show who I am, I'm going to be more personable. So how do you deal with criticism and people's feedback of you showing up as you are now? Like, what's different now, today, and how you show up online or how you respond to that criticism than before? Because now you're not hiding anymore.
The criticism is still there because, you can't please everyone. It's my Game of Thrones theory because everyone's so mad about Game of Thrones and the ending right now. But you can't please everyone, So if I just tell myself it doesn't matter because out of, if there's 100,000 people in the audience, and one person hates you, it's like, what are you going to do? Focus on the other group of people. So I'm trying to focus on all the positivity that I'm getting. And I don't spend so much time on social media because it is draining. So before it was like an addiction of like reading comments, reading this, going through other people's pages, seeing what they were doing that I'm not doing. And it all took a toll on me. I started unfollowing people that didn't bring me joy. Even if the people that I was like competitive against, they don't even know I'm competitive against them. I'm like, oh, she started at the same time I did. And why is she doing this and I'm not doing that? So I'm like, this is just all just static. So I kind of just deleted all of that, focused on the content I was creating, my followers, and then I would shut off social media. It was just healthier that way.
I love that. It's like my healthy boundaries. My healthy dish has my healthy boundaries now. Yeah. But I think that's so important to share, one, that there is this anxiety that is produced from being online, from showing up, from comparing ourselves to others. And I appreciate you just being really honest about that and sharing how you've created some boundaries around being on your phone, being online. Is there any other, I know you have the power hour, which I think is great. Is there any other kind of habits, boundaries, ways that you protect your energy online?
I used to want to just clap back of everyone who had messaged me negatively. And it just, the thought process of like what you're going to say to this person because they said something to you takes energy. It just takes energy. So it's so easier just to delete. I think it took me a while to not clap back, but just to not invest that time and energy clapping back, because then you write it back, and then they write something back. And it's just like, it's constant because people want to defend themselves too. So you're just creating an open door for more negativity. So by just deleting it, you're just shutting it down.
Yeah.
And that's, I just have to delete and shut it down and not invest that time and energy in that when there's like hundreds of other people who are waiting for my comment or my DM that would more appreciate what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think what, with social media, there's always like the downside, but there's also been some really beautiful upsides for you being online and building this following. And I know that you partner with Stand Up for Cancer. You share your passion for fur babies, like you have rescue pups at home. Can you just tell me a little bit about some of the upsides that you've been able to experience? Like what's been the joy of being online for you?
I think it's all joy in a certain way because, without the bad, you can't appreciate the good. And the bad was, it still made me stronger. But I mean, I'm never, ever going to complain about social media because it's brought me so much. I mean, it gave me an outlet to be creative. It gave me a career. I mean, there's just so many positive things and there's so many opportunities because, every time I'm stuck or something, I mean, there's like so many other people who are doing amazing things that I could look up to and see what they're doing on social. There's so many positivity things. Like, I mean, I could read your post, I could listen to your podcast and feel better. I mean, there's just so much more out there than the negative. So it does outweigh it. If you're searching for it, if you're searching for some encouragement or you're searching for a weight loss tip, you motivation or, positivity, it's out there. It's at a click of a button, which is amazing. But also I have like this great support system on social media. If you find like-minded, like I have you in my corner that I could talk to, but I also have, influencers and food bloggers who we communicate with like in group chats and, it's almost like therapy. It's like, hey, did you see what happened today? Or, oh, I'm so sorry that happened. I mean, I have a support system within my own community that understands what I'm going through. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of positivity on social media. And of course, I'm benefiting from it every day. So I'm never going to really complain about it. I mean, there's negativity, but I'm not going to complain about it because I just will get past it.
Yeah. And how, because how many years has it been? I mean, it's been what, at least, is it like 7 years now?
I feel like it's been 7 years. I feel like the girls were like 3 years old. They're 10 now. So
oh my goodness.
It's about a good 7 years of grinding.
So how do you continue to come up with new content and stay creatively connected to your work? Because it's around one topic and idea. So what do you do to come up with that content for your community?
It's what I want to know. It's always like what interests me. It's never create content with what you think people want to hear or see. It's what interests me. So right now I'm on a low carb, low sugar diet because I'm doing a challenge with my sister-in-law that we have to wear a bikini on July 4th and post it. So we gave ourselves 6 weeks to really get in shape. So here I am researching low carb recipes and no sugar alternatives. And, I'm having these sugar crashes. So I'm researching why I'm having these sugar crashes and what I can do for it. And that is just going to organically appear on my page because it's what I'm involved in now. So last year I was on another 6-week challenge where I had to lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks. So whatever I ate, what my diet plan was shared to everyone. So that's how it's so organic. It's whatever I'm feeling, of course, is what I'm posting or whatever I'm interested in. But I'm also very thoughtful with what the comments are because I treat it as my focus group. So if someone's going to ask me about the keto diet or about the gluten-free diet, I'm going to post some stuff about it because they're looking for it too. And I'll do the research because I'm paying attention to what you guys want to know. So it comes hand in hand.
Yeah, no, I love that you look at your comments as a focus group. It just gives you insight and ideas of, again, coming back to how can I create something that's valuable for my community. And would you say that there are any strategies that you implement today that worked way back in the day that still work today? And then I'm curious if there's any new strategies that are working now for you on Instagram.
So the old ways still work. The old way of just like engaging, liking, commenting in your own community, in your own hashtag. Like my favorite hashtag is healthy. So I'll go in there back then and like and comment and like really create this conversation. So they want to follow you. That still works when you're more of a micro influencer. But when you're a larger influencer and there's so many people that you need to communicate with, there's so many people like pulling you in different directions, I had to change my strategy, especially with the new algorithm. So there's certain tricks. I mean, I don't want to say tricks, but there's just certain things that I've learned to do. Is like, I downloaded this app called When to Post. So it tells you when to post. It's like when your audience is most engaged. So my power hour is really important because your engagement is really important in the first hour. So I want people to communicate with whatever I'm posting within that first hour because it tells Instagram that this post is valuable. People are interested in it, and I'm going to boost it more to her other audience and more to maybe the explore page or whatever. And then hashtags are important. So I do research hashtags that are resonant. Like today, like yesterday was chocolate chip cookie day. I mean, of course, you're going to have to use the hashtag. So any hashtag that the 10-year challenge was a great example. I did a photo of my pregnant belly and then the girls side by side, like, 10-year challenge. But that hashtag I saw was growing so exponentially during that day. It was like 60K posts to like, 10 million right now. But I happened to catch it. It was like winning the hashtag lottery. So once you hit the hashtag lottery, and they give you 30, so, use all 30, but I won that one. I got to the top of the hashtag, and 55% of the engagement and impressions was not from my followers. It was from that hashtag. So I would say I had 700,000 impressions on that one photo, and half of that wasn't even from my followers. So that's what I mean by winning the hashtag lottery. So I research all hashtags before I post it, and I use all 30 that they're given.
And do you post in your caption, or do you post in the comments?
So I don't like to have that caption too much in my caption. So I'll use 5 hashtags in my caption and the other 25 in the comments. And then same thing with the DMs and the comments. People are DMing you because they have a question, and give them a simple answer ends the conversation, ends the engagement. So I'm not going to show up on their page as much if we don't have engagement throughout social media. So the more they engage through your DMs, through your comments, the more my page and my content is going to show up on their page. So I know that there is a game to play, but I also know that content is key. So if the content is not valuable, the people won't engage regardless of what you post.
Yeah. You know what I love so much, Mai, is because I remember you geeking out way in the beginning, and like, I feel like you're like this mad scientist, and but in such a joyful way on how to serve your community and to connect. And I remember the Explore page was super hot way, I just love that about you, that you still have that, I'm going to learn how to best show up and add as much value, and not raise your hands and be like, I don't want to do this, this is too much work. No, yeah. That you actually take the time to learn, not just, how to make valuable content for your community, but there's some tactical strategies behind the scenes that are helpful to implement as well.
I think that comes hand to hand, right? It kills me when I see these beautiful pages. I mean, people who are creating amazing content out there and no one's seeing it because they don't have a marketing strategy behind it, So it comes hand in hand. You have to have that great content, but you also have to know how to get it on as many eyes as possible. So I think that's what my thing is. I've always paid attention to how things work and to maximize it to my advantage.
Oh, I love it so much. So as we wrap up, I just want to know, what's your why right now? What is the vision that you are moving towards in your work, with My Healthy Dish, with life, just anything that comes to mind when I ask you that question?
So my why is, that's a hard question because it changes all the time. But like right now, I just want to be financially like stable where it doesn't control me and the content that I create. I want to be able to not look at money as money. I just want to do my passion and have the money come in as a benefit, but I just want to do my work. I want to just create content that makes me happy and worry about finances later. I don't want it to be the main focus of what I'm doing. And right now it's still not the focus because of course we have to pay our mortgage. I want money not to be the goal. I want it to be just being happy, creating the content that I have for my audience. And then the benefit is just the money.
Yeah, I love that. And is there anything that you'd like to share before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I know a lot of people are starting off and they get really discouraged on social media. And I think that the main takeaway, of what my experience was learn from everyone who's been there, see how they did it and understand that it wasn't easy to get to where they were, but there was actual strategy. I mean, some of it was dumb luck, but there was actual strategy. And if you can learn those strategies, you can get there too.
I love that. And I remember when I, got into the online world in 2011, I went from brick and mortar business to living with my in-laws to like trying to figure out how to build an online business. And I remember like blogging was the hot thing. And I remember just kind of obsessing over all the mommy bloggers. And I'm like, I want a mom blog. But I was like, everyone who has a successful blog, they started in 2007, 2008, and I'm too late. And it's just that conversation's going to come up whenever you enter the game. You're always going to be looking at people who are several years and you're like, oh, well, you had to do it in that year in order to make it. And what I know to be true with my experience, with your experience, is that you just got to get in the game and start playing. And then in a couple years, you're going to look back and someone's going to be looking at you of like, oh, I should have started in 2019, but I didn't. But just like get in the game now. Very and don't true. Use that as a way to stop you that it's not possible for you. Because there's always a path.
There's always someone who's going to be ahead of you. Always. So you can only just start now and then someone will look at you the same way. I totally agree.
Yeah. Well, I love you so much, Mai, and I'm so
love you
thankful for you just sharing your journey and your story. And let's text to get a hot tub time on the calendar.
Yes.
All right. Bye.
Bye, Giada.
Thank you so much for your heart and attention in listening to Lead with Love. If this message, leading with love in life and business, and remembering the humans and beating hearts behind the numbers and all of that good stuff, I would love for you to take the time to leave an honest review. It would mean the world to me, and it also helps more people find out about the goodness and helping spreading more love in the world, which we really, really need. So I would really appreciate that, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.